If you know inherently that you keep promises to yourself, that is something that will change your life more than anything. Don't conclude on what you know, because then you stop seeking. And if you do it for the love of it, you're going to find the right things that you need to do at the right time. What's up, everybody? Welcome to the Strength Connection podcast. I'm your host, Michael Kurkowski. Thank you so much for joining me. If you've listened to the show before, welcome back. If it's your first time, thank you so much. Appreciate it. So it's me and you today. This is a special solo episode that I am doing, as I mentioned earlier this year, along with the interviews that I am going to be conducting with people and having great conversations on the podcast. I also wanted to take this time to speak to you directly on the feedback that I've got, the big takeaways that I've had from connecting with so many amazing people, and also just speak more directly to you on all things strength, physical, mental, spiritual, all that good stuff. So if you listen to the last episode, as I mentioned earlier this year, or at the very, very end of 2022, I did a solo episode on the 42 lessons of connection. This was really a compilation of all different things that I learned from over 100 episodes that we did on the podcast, and really went into maybe a minute or two detail on all those lessons. So what I wanted to do with these is to dive a little deeper into all of them, a couple at a time. So I'm going to be doing that today. So first off, it's a quick announcement is the next seminar that I'm doing in the Kettlebell Mastery series is going to be on February 16th. That is a Thursday at 4 p.m. Eastern time, and it is called Juggling Strength. Seminars is something that I do about every 6 weeks, specifically to my community that I connect with. And this is a free live event that you can come and join into. And Juggling Strength is all about how to prioritize the many goals that you might have and how to get better at all of them all at one time. As I mentioned in my small community, I've done numerous seminars before of diving deep into different areas of strength. This one in many ways feels most important because it's made the biggest impact on my life, and specifically with the clients that I've worked on over the last 18 months in my business Breakthrough Secrets. So if you'd like to register and join me, you can go to the Facebook group, The Strength Connection, jump in on that. And there's a registration link that you can go right into that. And also we'll put it in the show notes so you can register for that as well. So hopefully you can join me again, February 16th at 4 p.m. Eastern time. And if you register, you also get a copy of it afterwards. So hopefully you can join me on that. So, all right. So getting into a couple of the lessons. So first one I wanted to bring up was one I actually spoke about last week, but I wanted to rehash it and bring it up again because I had an experience with it that I haven't thought about in quite a while. And I wanted to bring it up with you guys. So I was actually a guest on another podcast this week, guest on a couple this week. It was a busy time to connect, and I had a great interview with gentleman Dustin Bogle with his podcast, and awesome interview, great host, did a really great research. And we dove into a lot of different topics on intuitive training, on kettlebell training, on setting up a podcast. We went in a lot of different avenues, but he asked me about journaling. And I've talked about it numerous times before. And he asked me how I got into it, kind of what was it about journaling? We know it's a good thing for you, but what was it that it made such an impact on you? And it actually made me think about when I really got started in journaling. And I brought out my old journal, which is right here. Okay. It's a small little handy dandy journal that I got. And what was so funny about this is I was actually gifted that journal in December of 2012. And like many people who have journaled before, I did it for a couple of days when I got it. And then I put it away for months or years, picked it back up. It was kind of just a mark of just felt compelled to write things you're grateful for, kind of, do it like you're speaking to a friend, all like the little things that you might have heard about journaling when you're a kid, but I never really used it as a practice. And then back in 2020, when the pandemic happened, and I read the book Stillness is the Key by Ryan Holiday, which I recommend to anybody. Phenomenal book. All of Holiday's books are fantastic. Stillness was really impactful for me. It might have been at the time that we were going through, but just the way that he wrote that was big as well. And one of the chapters at the beginning was about journaling, and it was a way to get more inner peace, get stillness in your life. And he quoted, I forget who it was. It might have been Foucault. I forget the author's name, but he said that a quote about journaling where writing is for the writer first, not the reader. And that quote hit me because I realized that whenever I tried to journal before, I was thinking that I was writing it as if someone's going to read it like a novel. So you almost self-censor yourself in what you write. You know, you don't actually just put out what's in your mind at any time because you think somebody's going to read it and you want it to be profound or very articulate, when in reality, journaling is a very sloppy, very unorganized practice. If you just look at like a singular day, when you're doing stream of consciousness type stuff, there could be things that have no coherent message at all. It doesn't really make sense. Oftentimes in my handwriting, I can't even read what I wrote before. But what I did is I made the promise at that point is I was going to journal every day. It didn't matter how long I went. It didn't matter how many lines that I wrote. I would write for whatever felt right for that day. And I did. And I wrote every single day. And finally, that was in May of 2020, around August or September, is I finished the last page of this journal. And going back, I reread through some entries. There's nothing that was crazy profound. It was a lot of thoughts. It was a lot of questions about things that I was doing. It was some clarity on some action steps that I wanted to take forward. But the big thing is I reflected, I remember at the time on that last page. And when I closed it, I said, regardless of what the content is in here, how great of writing or how articulate or whatever it is, like every word that's in this journal was written from me. So essentially, I just wrote a book. You know, it's not a great book. It's not a book I would have anybody read because it's probably embarrassing in some ways in there. But what I realized, though, is that it was one of those moments that I made a promise to myself and I kept it. It was a small thing. It took some time. It was just an everyday thing. I didn't spend a numerous amount of time on it, but I made the commitment to do it and I did it. And it's one of the biggest things that we talked about in coaching is so many times we get confused about different modalities of things that we need to do. What's the best way to attack this goal or this goal? And we start to debate about the micros and we get confused about the methods that we put out. All those things are important, but the biggest thing that I found with all of us who struggle is that you can get into a habit, especially if you failed numerous times afterwards, is you don't trust yourself that you're going to do what you say you're going to do. And if you learn that you can keep promises to yourself and that you trust yourself more than you trust anybody else, that when you say you're going to do something and you commit to it, you actually do it, that's a different superpower than any modality of physical training or mindset practice or biohack or anything like that. If you know inherently that you keep promises to yourself, that is something that will change your life more than anything. And this was one of those examples that I had, and I haven't thought about it in a while, but one of the lessons of connection that I had from this episode was keep promises to yourself. I wanted to bring that out and say that for you. So it doesn't matter what the thing is, but if you said you're going to do it, get it done. Not for the discipline aspect of it, which is important, but it's just that you learn that you trust yourself, that you're going to do what you say you're going to do. Okay? So that's number one. I wanted to bring that up. And again, shout out to Dustin Bogle for a great podcast that he invited me on. It was awesome. The second one is a quote from a great friend, Carrie Campbell, which is, when you conclude, you stop seeking. She said this numerous times. She said it when I had her on the podcast before, and I've heard her speak in the mastermind group that I'm a part of as well. And I love this line, but you know, it's funny. The first thing that popped into my head when I was just putting some notes down for this episode was the Tommy Lee Jones line in Men in Black. I forget who was he? Was he Jay? No, Jay was Will Smith. He was M. I think he's M. Correct me if I'm wrong, but that was his character in Men in Black. And the scene when Will Smith just found out that there was aliens on Earth, and he was saying, like, why don't you tell people about it? Like, people understand, they'll figure it out. And Tommy Lee Jones had a great line where he said, like, 2000 years ago, everybody knew the Earth was the center of the universe. And 1500 years ago, everybody knew the Earth was flat. And it's like, and 15 minutes ago, you knew that people were alone on this planet. And he finished it. He said, imagine what you'll know tomorrow. And I just thought, what an awesome line from a really goofy B movie in there. It's an awesome movie. It's a blast. The second and third one, I think, kind of fell off a bit, but that first one was freaking epic. But that line was so powerful on it, is how much that we believe that we know the best way. We are 100% realize that this is the best way to do something, only to find out later that there's a better way, or there's another way, maybe not even better, but there's another way that you can do it as well. And how big it is to just not conclude things down and, put them in stone, because then you stop seeking out other thoughts, other opportunities. If you think about it, like 20 years ago, there was no social media. There wasn't such a thing as a podcast, right? Now it's like one of the main sources where people get information. Everybody in the world is on a social media platform. It is a huge thing, and it's made people's careers. People are online in their business. This was not a thing 20 years ago. And if you said to somebody 20 years ago, what's the best way to build a business or to scale or something, they knew the best way at that point. Imagine if they never sought out any new ideas after that. How much has changed over that time. That's the thing. We have to adapt. Like, there's always new things that are coming out. There's always more stuff that you can learn. And that's why, like, bringing the quote of Beethoven that I've used here numerous times, do not just practice your art, but force your way into its secrets. It's another way of saying, don't conclude on what you know, because then you stop seeking. Keep searching out more and more ways to do things. That's why I love hardstyle kettlebell training, is because it's a path of mastery. I mean, these are things that I am looking at doing. I've done swings, I've done cleans, I've done snatches thousands and thousands of times. I'm still learning new things about it, from different protocols, from increasing the intensity, of changing up the volume. My body's different the age I am now versus what I was, 10 years ago, 12 years ago when I first started on this. How many people, especially coaches, how many conversations have you had with people who, or said, oh, well, I used to be in great shape. Oh, when was that? It was 20 years ago. It's like, no, your body's way different now. It's like, be in the now with this. And, it's also huge. It's like when you conclude and you think you know what you need to do, but you're not doing it. No, you don't know it. Like, if you're not applying it and you know it's the best thing for you, you don't actually know it. You might know the knowledge behind it, but you don't know how to apply it. Okay. So I love that line from Carrie, when you conclude, you stop seeking. It's such a great way of just approaching every day of, what am I going to learn today? It's like, I'm a huge proponent of reading and opening up books a lot. Sometimes, people say, oh, you need to absorb what you read first. Don't just run through reading. I love to read because I enjoy it. I just like learning. I'm not looking to apply everything all at one time, but I just enjoy the process of it. And if you do it for the love of it, you're going to find the right things that you need to do at the right time. So, yeah, I'm going to leave it at those two for today. Really great experiences, specifically with rehashing that memory of journaling with Dustin. That was awesome. And this quote from Carrie, when you conclude, you stop seeking, was awesome. I don't know why Men in Black popped into my head. It sounded like it was the right thing to bring up on this. It's funny how you can catch things in these oddball movies, many times. And that's definitely an oddball movie right there, Men in Black. So now I have to go and watch that again. Anyway, all right. Thank you so much, guys. Appreciate you tuning in. Appreciate you listening to me, coming on this journey with me. I've got some really great interviews that are lined up soon with some awesome people, and I'm going to be connecting more with you individually on here as well. So I appreciate you all. Love you so much. Talk to you soon.
Thank you so much for joining me today. I hope you found some great value here. And if you like this episode, please drop a comment and leave us a 5-star rating and review. It does more to build the show than you can imagine. And do not forget to check out and join the Strength Connection Facebook group. In this group, I share the biggest takeaways and lessons from these amazing conversations, as well as training and strength tips for pursuing mastery and fulfillment in life. This group is filled with individuals looking to take full control over their strength, and it's the perfect space to explore new ideas and to share your journey. And you'll also get exclusive access to these Strength Connection Mastery seminars. It's a deep dive into the physical, mental, and spiritual training that you can begin using immediately. So do not wait, go now. Seriously, go. All right, much love to you. Thank you so much, and I'll catch you on the next one.